Okay, so you've written a Python script. It does something cool, right? It actually works. But how do you take that from just a personal project to a legit, professional, reusable command line tool that anyone can use? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Your script might get the job done, but is it actually user-friendly? Does it help the user figure out what to do? Or, and let's be honest, does someone have to literally dig into your code just to change something simple like a file name? That's the real question we're tackling today.
And this slide, it just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you've got your typical script. It's got hard-coded values, there are no instructions. It works, but only for you. On the right, you have a true command line tool. It's flexible, it's clear, and it's easy for anyone to use. Our goal here is simple. We're going to get you from that script on the left to that polished tool on the right. And it's easier than you think.
So the big question is, how do we make that leap? Do we need some complicated third-party library? Nope. The answer is already built right into Python's standard library. It's this awesome, super elegant module called Argparse.
All right, before we jump into the code, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. What even is a CLI tool? CLI stands for Command Line Interface. It's basically a program you run in your terminal. You feed it some inputs, we call them arguments and flags, and it changes what it does based on what you told it. No complex graphical interface needed. It's pure, simple power.
And why should you even bother building these? Well, for starters, they're amazing for automation. You can schedule them, chain them together, the whole shebang. They instantly make your code look and feel way more professional. But here's the real kicker. Argparse handles all the boring stuff for you. I'm talking error checking, generating help messages, all of it automatically.
Okay, so you might be thinking this sounds complicated, but getting started with Argparse is actually surprisingly simple. I like to think of it as a super reliable 4-step recipe. It's the core foundation you'll use for every single command line tool you build with it from now on.
And here they are. It's that simple. 1. Create the parser. 2. Define your arguments. 3. Parse the arguments from the command line. And 4. Use those arguments in your code. That's it. Let's walk through each one step by step.
All right, step 1, create the parser. First, of course, you import argparse. Then you create this argument parser object. The best way to think about this parser variable is as an empty container. It's the box where we're going to put all the rules and definitions for our new command line tool.
Step 2. This is where we start defining our arguments. We'll start with the most basic kind, which is called a positional argument. Now, this is a mandatory piece of information. The user has to provide it, like a file name. See how we define it? There are no dashes. That's how we tell Argparse, hey, this is required. The tool can't run without it.
Okay, step 3. This right here, this is the magic line. Args equals parser.parseArgs. When your script gets to this line, it basically pauses, looks at the terminal, reads all the inputs the user typed in, and then it checks them against the rules we just defined. It then packages everything up neatly into a little object for us.
And that brings us to the final step, number 4, using the arguments. That neat little object that parseArgs give us, we've called it args, now holds all our inputs as attributes. So we can just access the file name with args.filename and use it right in our script's logic, just like any other variable. It's super clean.
Okay, so theory is great, but let's see this thing in action. In our terminal, we'd type python my-cletool.py, and then we'd provide test.txt as that required positional argument we just set up.
And boom, just like that, our script grabs that file name from the command line and prints our success message. You can see the connection, right? The input from the user directly controls what the script does. No more hard coding. But wait, here comes the real aha moment. This is my favorite part. What happens if your user, or let's be honest, you 6 months from now, forgets how to use your tool? Well, they can just type the command and add -help or just -h at the end.
And this is what Argparse gives you, for free. We wrote exactly 0 lines of this help text. Argparse looked at our code, the description we gave it, the arguments we defined, and it generated this entire beautiful, clear help message automatically. This is what separates a simple script from a professional self-documenting tool.
All right, so we've got the foundation down solid. Now it's time for some power-ups. Let's look at how to add optional flags and switches to give our users even more control.
So we've got a few different types of arguments we can play with. We already know the first one,
the positional argument. That's the required one. Now we're going to add 2 optional types. First up is the boolean switch. Just think of this as a simple on and off toggle. Then we have the optional value, which is a flag that expects another piece of data to come with it, like a number or a string.
So let's add one of those Boolean switches. This is perfect for something like a -- for both flag to get more output. Notice how we give it a short name, -v, and a long name, -verbose. The key here is action equals store true. That tells Argparse, hey, if you see this flag, just set a variable named verbose to true. If you don't see it, it's false. Simple as that.
So now, when we run our script and we include that -verbose flag, our code can just do a simple check. If args verbose. If it's true, we can print out all that extra debugging info. It's a totally optional feature that the user can turn on when they need it. Okay, let's add one more for good measure, an optional value. Here, we're creating a log-level flag. We're telling Argparse that this flag needs a value, and that value should be an integer, by saying type equals int. We can even provide a default value, in this case 1, just in case the user doesn't provide the flag at all. Super useful.
So now, if a user runs the script and passes in -log level 3, our program can read that number 3 and change its behavior. Maybe it enables high-severity monitoring, or something else entirely. This is what makes our tool incredibly flexible and powerful. And just like that, we've done it. We've completed the transformation. We started with a simple, hard-coded script, and now we've turned it into a flexible, self-documenting, and genuinely professional command line tool.
So what's the big takeaway here? It all comes back to that simple 4-step recipe, right? Create the parser, define your arguments, parse the inputs, and use the results. If you can remember that pattern, create, define, parse, use, you have the foundation to build any professional command line tool you can imagine.
And that really just leaves us with one last question. I want you to think about your own projects, all those little scripts you've written that you use every day. Which one are you going to upgrade first?